How's everybody doing? Today's video is going to be what guitar would I buy for $500. This is kind of a shop along online with me series. I've done 100, 200, 300, and 400 before so far. And so now we're on to 500. The first few of them I allowed used listings, but then I stopped. There just became thousands and thousands of listings to have to go through, so it was not really, considering I had no idea what I would actually pick, to shop through thousands of listings was taking like hours, and I was having to do a lot of editing, whereas it's kind of nice to just do this with as little editing as possible considering the format. So what we're doing now is we're not allowing used listings, but if we were, this right here would be the answer of what I would pick. So this is an easy one. I'm just going to throw this out there before we start actually shopping. If I was allowing used listings, for the sake of this video, I would buy this Mexican Strat for $500, $499.99. It's used. It's Surf Pearl, which I think is a really cool color. Not a very great quality picture, but it's like a very faintly metallic surf green color. I think that's really cool. So that's what I would pick if I was allowing used. So to save the time, I guess, and the hassle, that's what I would choose. Now, let's actually begin with Guitar Center with their new listings, because to answer this video in conclusion, I'm going to have to pick a new one. So right off the bat, we've got a Gretsch, which is not really my thing, at $425. Whatever that is. No. A Dean MLX with a Floyd Rose. That's an interesting shape, the MLX, because it's basically like a combination of a Flying V and an Explorer. It's like an Explorer on this side and a V on this side. They've had this for a while. This is a bolt-on. I don't know what the woods are going to be on this. Mahogany body, maple neck, rosewood fretboard. So that's pretty solid specs. I mean, it is a bolt-on. Apparently you can't, oh, there you go. But it has a Floyd Rose, probably special, if I had to guess at this price. And that certainly is an option. It's kind of hard to use the I wouldn't pick that, honestly. I wouldn't choose it, but that's interesting. A Dean MDX, so that's like an Acura. Dean Thoroughbred. I'm guessing these are all bolt-on in this series, although it doesn't say. Yeah, bolt-on. I would not pick that. I've just never seen that configuration before, so I clicked on it. There's a lot of Deans at this price point. A Caddy X. It's kind of like a Dean Cadillac shape, which is like kind of explorer-y here and kind of less poly there. It's an interesting shape, but that's not really my style with the Floyd. There's a Squier Classic Vibe for $430. I don't know why that's included there. That's too cheap for this filter. Squiers, which I would not choose. Ibanez Geo with a Floyd. So it looks like if you want a guitar with a Floyd, in the low to mid 400s, there's actually some options for you, which is good. Jackson Kelly, Jackson Dinky. So this is like the territory of, geez, that's ugly. That is really ugly. There's some guitars in the territory of good woods, probably, you know, cheapish electronics, and it seems like $300 to $500 is like the new entry level price point, whereas years ago it was like $100 to $200. Yeah, that's not a bad price, I guess, for an Epiphone, but I would not pick an Epiphone. A JS32 Dinky that's white with a Floyd. Schecter Omen. Schecter C6 Plus Magenta. Those are going to be bolt-on Schecters at that price. Squier Paranormal. An EC256 with gold hardware. It's kind of interesting. And I'm already at $499. There's a lot at the $499 price mark. TE201. That's interesting. I'm guessing that those LTDs are not Korean ones at that price, because I think even the Korean ones in like the black metal series are like pushing $1,000, I want to say. And that's kind of like more of a down market version, it looks like. Wolfgang Standard Bomber Black. That's a cool name. Obviously it's like a stealth bomber color. Those are some cool colors on those Wolfgang guitars. I'm not really a fan of the shape or the Music Man shape. Sterling, that is. But okay, so there's an open box Gem Junior pink. That's interesting. I think this is going to conclude Guitar Center's listings. Level 1 has to be their open box deal. But I had one of these that was white, not pink. And for the price, wait, what? that the same control configuration as the one that I had? I don't remember. I would assume that it had to be the same control configuration as the white one that I had. But those are really good guitars. So for that price, for an open box, for one that's hot pink, can't deny it's a good guitar. There's the JS32. Basswood body. That's kind of cool. Basswood body. Oh, great. There's the EC256. I'm going to guess that's a mahogany body. Yeah, mahogany body, mahogany neck, but no top. So a mahogany body and neck is basically going to give you it's more of a classic metal sound without as much depth as if it had a maple top. It's going to sound a lot, I guess, more tight, less wide. It would be very well suited to like classic metal. Think like a lot of Metallica-esque tones, or what's that one band? Coheed and Cambria. So that's not bad. That's not a bad option right there. Looks pretty good. I'm not really a big fan of the inlays. I think they kind of ruin it. And the headstock shape on that one. It's kind of looks like a bunch of little flags blowing in the wind. This is kind of more interesting. I'm going to eliminate this. The TE201 obviously is telly shape, I'm going to guess, for TE. It bolts. It's like a bolt-on version of what reminds me of like the black metal finish. Very, very dark black. Looks like it just has a volume control, which I kind of like that. Mahogany body and bolt-on. The bolt-on construction enhances the attack and clarity. I don't know about that. It's quick to put on. LH150B humbucker. Okay, so it's got coil splitting, rosewood fretboard. What is the neck wood? Three-piece maple. So it seems like that'd be a hard one to fault, really. I mean, it just mahogany body, maple neck, rosewood fretboard. We all know what that sounds like. It has a coil splitting pickup, which I'm sure is going to be hot enough to do metal, judging by the look of this guitar. Although it doesn't say the output necessarily. ESP LH150B. So this person says they pulled these out. They're both reading at 15K ohms. So that's pretty hot. Interesting. Yeah, it's pretty good looking. And this is apparently the same, but with more of a strat shape. So it's kind of like choose your shape in this series, the SN or the 201 series, I guess it's called. I like the reverse headstock on that one. I don't think this one has one. Yeah, so the idea with a reverse headstock, so this is a traditional headstock. That's a reverse headstock. The idea with a reverse headstock is that your strings are more stable, technically speaking, when the lower strings have more distance from point to point, because you tend to, like, especially on a guitar like this, you tend to like chug and hammer on with your pick really hard on the low strings, and it tends to make the string sway and sort of pull, and you get like a swing of intonation if you're playing it real hard like that. Whereas when you have more distance to the tuning key on the low string, in order for that string to be in tuned to the same note as on this guitar, it has to be tighter because more of it's strung. At least that's the idea with it. And I've played guitars that had the reverse headstock that were metal suited, like Chapman's. And it seems to do perfectly well, and I can kind of get the feel of that concept. It seems to make sense to me. And then also your higher strings would feel a little bit slinkier because there's less distance the higher you go. So for solos and bending, it would be a little bit easier. It would be a little bit harder, for example, to do a bend on the low strings when you have a reverse headstock, theoretically. I mean, you're talking about minor differences in feel, but that is something to note between this Tele shape and this Strat shape of the series, because other than that, they're probably very similar. It looks like they're both 24 frets. They're probably the same scale length. Moving on, the Wolfgang Standard Bomber Black. That's, the pictures of new guitars on Guitar Center really suck, so I'm hoping that these models are also available at Sweetwater where they'll actually be photographed well. This looks like a baked maple neck with maybe just a baked maple fretboard. Black dot inlays. It looks like, I wish I could zoom in on that there, but oiled finish on the back of the neck and 12 to 16 inch compound radius, baked 22 fret maple fretboard with rolled edges. So they've put a lot of thought into the neck on this thing. Basswood body though, so you'd have like the nicest neck you can get probably for this price range, but a basswood body, which it has a sound, but it's kind of like a doesn't have much character. I'll just put it that way. Okay, moving on to Sweetwater's listings between $400 and $500. Already, we saw this guitar. Oh, that's an open box. I was going to say it's much cheaper, but we saw this one already at Guitar Center, and it looked like flat color, basically, and that is like gold sparkle. So it just shows you how much better the photos are. I'm going to continue to rule out Squiers. There's a decent looking Ibanez. What's interesting is I don't think we saw worn SGs at Guitar Center, so maybe those are something that Sweetwater ordered, or I just didn't pay attention. But I've had a guitar much like this, not with P90s, but it was, I think, considered an SG400 Epiphone. So it was like a worn, or like a non-gloss worn cherry finish, they call it. It was okay, but I didn't really use it. SGs have a very distinct feel when you're used to playing just about anything else. That's a bunch of Squiers. Candy Apple Red, that color looks great. See, this is what I'm talking about. The way that they photograph these at Sweetwater, I don't even know where that photo is. That one. Like, that looks great. And that you're looking at like a Squier. Just great photography. Anyway, moving on to guitars that I might actually consider. See, there's that hideous thing. That guitar still doesn't look good. I don't like fade finishes on guitars at all, and that's a prime example of why right there. I would much prefer this Seafoam Green Matte finish, although that's a different pickup configuration. But I would take that guitar over this one just because that's so ugly. That finish is so ugly. Blue metallic, that's kind of a dull finish. If it doesn't have any flop when Sweetwater photographs it, then that's a not very great metallic finish. See, I like that Seashore Matte. That's not bad. I'll tell you what, if you needed like a guitar to keep in a certain tuning or whatever and just keep it simple, it's kind of like a very basic top-loading hardtail, it looks like. Not a bad choice with an Ibanez. Ooh. That's an open box, but that's a decent looking finish. Those dinky 32s with basswood, I guess. Those are just like, that's kind of nice, but what's the body wood? Like if this is basswood or poplar or something, I would not be too interested. Gloss white color basswood body. Yeah, see, it's good looking. That's an open box version of that series that we looked at. I bet this is a decent guitar, but it looks kind of like a blob. See, that's kind of a cool finish. It looks like that one has some flop to it. It's used. Wait a minute. Sweetwater is straight up selling used. They're obviously not selling that many of them, because I think that's the first one I've seen that says used. I was about to click on that too, because that's an interesting looking top. Yeah, we might as well just look at it. When I see a guitar like this, I just like to look at it. Oh, would you just look at that? That's not a bad looking guitar. It looks like there's not much fret wear at all. I mean, it doesn't look used. Oh, I take that back. That that looks pretty used right there. Looks like it got bit by a snapping turtle. But what's that down here? Yeah, that's in that corner right there. Yeah, that's what happens when you use your guitar as a paddle when you're out in your canoe and a snapping turtle bites it. Just takes a chunk out of it, just like that. Moving on. That is a cool finish. There's some cool finishes here, you know, in this price point for new stuff or open box stuff, I guess. That's interesting. I don't know what this is. Kiko Loureiro. Loureiro? Kiko Loureiro? I don't know how you say that. Kind of looks like their S shape, but with a side jack on it, which is good. I'm not a big fan of the top jack. Good Lord. Well, that's how you know it's a signature model. Made in China. The wallet-friendly take on Kiko's signature axe. Never heard of this.
This is Kiko Loureiro. I'm here in Italy and I just received my Kiko SP3 So let's check it out. Yeah. So this one is the SP3 entry-level model.
Maple neck, poplar body, Jatoba fretboard, which Ibanez introduced me to that Jatoba fretboard, and it's a pretty good fretboard. I would not avoid that for any reason. Jatoba is great. A poplar body, you know, poplar is not suited to long, like, sustaining leads, in my opinion. It's better for, like, choppier, higher pitched, jazzy sort of leads, which is why I don't like poplar in a guitar that's like kind of a rock guitar. Although I liked his playing, it sounded like in the beginning of that, like he's playing a cheap Ibanez, which, you know, they do have a distinct sound. It's a good looking guitar. A 400 millimeter fretboard radius. What does that mean, 400 millimeters? I'm really having to have to do the math here. 400 millimeters, 2 inches is 15.75. So that's a very flat radius. Interesting. Kiko Loureiro, I'll have to check him out more so in general, although I'll leave this up so I don't forget the name. Schecter Omen Elite 6 open box. What's the body wood on this thing? This is a kind of a pretty guitar. I mean, looks like a poplar burl top. That doesn't mean the whole body is poplar. And I like the inlays on it. I like the whole aesthetic here. Poplar burl top. See, in this description they say it's a common alder alternative, which it is because it's used in a lot of like Strat shaped guitars, but poplar sounds bright and thick and bright at the same time on the real high pitch notes, and then to me it loses character as you go down in pitch through the scales. But alder, I think, has more clarity entirely than poplar does, so I wouldn't say that they're really comparable. And alder has a very sweet characteristic to me. It sounds very like feminine and sweet tonally, and has a lot of clarity. That's why Strats sound the way they do, largely, if you want to talk about the wood aspect. I don't think poplar is really a true alternative for alder. I mean, supposedly some incredible, amazing shredders throughout the years have used poplar bodies when they could have been using alder, but it sounds worse when they do that, in my opinion. And it's, I don't know. I don't want to turn this into a tone wood video, but I don't really like that phrase right there. Like, poplar it's definitely its own thing, and it can look amazing in these burl finishes where it's incredibly affordable and it looks just like has incredible texture and depth to the finish for a top like that. So I mean, it has its uses for sure, and I wouldn't mind as much a poplar top with the different back let's say. Um, so this says compelling visual figuring and rich mahogany complement. So I guess that means that the back is mahogany. Poplar / mahogany body really makes an entrance. I guess it does. Thin C, that's interesting. Schecters are not known to have necessarily thin necks. 14-inch radius, so that would play really well. That's basically 2 inches flatter than a Gibson and 2 inches rounder than an Ibanez. So you could definitely shred the hell out of this guitar. Schecter Heretic pickups. It's interesting. Volume and tone, 5-way switch, clear speed knobs. Yeah, it's a great looking guitar. Well, let's see what the problems are here, because it's an open box, right? So it's not used, so I guess it technically is in the running. That's a great looking guitar. Is it a bolt-on? So you can see here where the top seems to give way to the mahogany there. So it is basically a maybe 1/4-inch top, something like that. Oh, it has these pickups. I don't know what they're pointing out on that, but these pickups where the top is like transparent and you can see the actual like wire that's coiled around the bobbins on the inside. You can see that like copper there and like there. So you can see where it's wound like that. Reminds me of the Gibson Les Paul Goddess, which is like a really silly, like I don't know if it would be considered sexist or not, but it's a guitar that's aimed at women, or it was a guitar. They made it like years ago. It didn't really take off, but these pickups where you can see the winding through the covers like that makes me think of the Goddess, which is kind of funny because it just instantly just makes it very feminine. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be seeing there. Little scuffs, I guess. That's kind of cool. It's just like a very drab looking back. This looks like the flooring in my house. It's kind of gray like that. How gray can you make a piece of mahogany look? Yeah, that's a good looking guitar. I like that. I like that a lot. Indonesian. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's a bolt-on. It just has these. They've done some effort to get the wood out of the way a little bit here by cutting it out, so it's very ergonomic looking. Yeah, that's definitely a contender for sure. I didn't realize how much of a contender that was going to be. Okay, where are we? Oh, there's some more contenders here. That is interesting. That's kind of cool looking. These are all the same, I'm guessing. The SE CE24. That, I bet you these sell really well, because the PRS CE24 is to my understanding, a bolt-on version of like a Custom 24 with a maple neck, and sometimes they have even an ash body, I think I've seen, or different body woods, I guess, in the CE series. So now there's an imported version, the SE CE24. It looks good from this angle, the way that the light's hitting that. I wonder what the body wood is. It's a mahogany body. Okay, so I don't know if the normal PRS CE24 is a mahogany body or if it's something else. This could be mahogany just because it's more standard, and I could just be entirely wrong and off base, but I want to say the PRS CE24 has other body woods than mahogany. What I don't like, though, is you can see clearly that it's like a three-piece body by the joints on it. It's like they're not very well hidden. Like that's a drastic difference in grain right there. There's like, I wouldn't like that. Granted, the good thing about Sweetwater is you can click on other ones, but as I say that, look at this. What are they thinking? Like, so you've got completely different, like this piece in the middle is obviously very dark, dense grain. This piece is like flamed mahogany, and it's a very light color, and it's like this, they have the same amount of stain on the entire thing. So like this piece on this end matches the middle piece fairly well. Like if the whole guitar matched like that, a lot of people might not even notice the different pieces. But then you move over to here, it's like there's that piece, and then what the hell is going on? That's like shockingly ugly wood matching. I mean, granted, it's an SE, but PRS is like all about wood matching. That's shockingly bad. I mean, that's really, really shocking. And there's another one. So this, I think the first one we saw was this, and I complained about that. Let me go to one that actually might be more uniform looking. So this one. This is how they should all look, because this is still three pieces of wood, but it's hard to tell because the grains kind of match. Like, even from the back, it's just, see, that's how it should look. So obviously that one would not be as obvious, the multiple pieces of wood. But then, like, here's another one. What were they thinking? It's like there's a very average piece of mahogany. There's this piece with like a really wide grain, and then there's this piece that's like spalted. It's like really wavy. That's just absolutely shocking. All right, definitely not that. This is the same model, different color. It still looks pretty sloppy. I mean, we're looking at the same type of wood here. That's very sloppy matching. I mean, the color of that stain I like, but the wood grain matching is, I mean, not a single one of these blends. Like that one, that one, that one. You can tell from a distance that there are three drastically different pieces of wood on each one of those. I find that disappointing. Not that I would probably buy one of these, but just knowing what PRS typically stands for with their wood matching, that's just bizarre. Yep, so there's not a single good one there. This color might be a little better because it's more opaque. I mean, you can see the wood grain coming through. I bet this guitar feels, I mean, as far as feel goes, I bet this model, no matter what the color is, I bet that model feels really quality in your hands. It's probably got a nice weighty body with the mahogany. The wood grain density probably feels really nice. You can feel the grain through this finish. It's like, it's going to give it a nice quality feel. Yeah, this one's not nearly as offensive as the other ones, where you could see how badly matched the wood was. Because this is almost entirely, excuse me, this is almost entirely opaque. Where's this made? Cortec, Indonesia. Yeah, this is going to be a good quality guitar for the price. 7.5. Well, 7 pounds 5 ounces, 2 ounces, 2 ounces, 7 pounds even, and 6 pounds 13. So this is the heaviest one up front. So that's probably the one I would pick. 7 pounds 5 ounces is still light to me. I'm kind of surprised how light that would be, actually. So I stand corrected that it would be heavy feeling, but I'm sure it would be appropriately balanced. It's interesting. I wonder what the electronics are here. Unrestricted playing experience, maple neck, rosewood. While it's 10-inch fretboard radius. Ugh. So it's going to feel like a PRS, that's for sure. I don't like that. Eliminated. Okay. What's this? Wait. Okay, that's the end. No, it's not the end. Wow, there's a lot more guitars. It seems like there's more options here than there were at Guitar Center at exactly $500. So here's this other model that we looked at. And there's an EC Eclipse shape to it, which I wonder if that's also a bolt-on. No, the Eclipse is a set neck, as it should be. But that means you're getting a little bit better value on the Eclipse model, and it also has binding on the front. So this one's definitely the best value in that lineup. What's the fretboard on that thing? Still rosewood, so yeah. That's the best value out of that lineup. Steinberger Spirit GT Pro. I would think this is for traveling. Okay. Yeah, that's the same one but better photographed, so I'm pulling that up just to look at the photos. Is this the one that we saw that was used? Ibanez and Orange have teamed up to do bundles. That's interesting. See, this is what I mean about... Wait, what? Oh, these aren't even sorted by price, are they? Well, I guess I forgot to do that. But this is what I mean about if this is like the new entry-level price point, because all of a sudden there's like bundles. I wonder if... I mean, surely Ibanez must be in on that to bundle that way. At first I was just going to say, I wonder if Sweetwater is selling it that way. But they must be... Ibanez and Orange must have had a handshake on that one. Then you got the Fender bundles with their own stuff. So we're basically done looking at these. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So that's all of them. Here's the Strat shaped one, better photographed. With the reverse headstock. That's not too bad right there, I will say. It's interesting how they each have something that is a little bit more differentiating because they're the same kinds of woods, basically, but not the same kind of construction. That's very, for a gloss black, that's a very dark gloss black. I think they did a really good job on that color. Okay, so there's that. There's this thing, open box. I guess non-open box, it's over 500 because this is open box. This would be a really nice looking rug. Like if I had a rug that looked like that, I would put it in my kitchen. You know, the one thing I will say, because I'm pretty sure this is Jatoba, it looks cheap. It just looks cheap. Feels great. It's low maintenance. Oh, this is a Meranti body. So I want to say that the Gem Junior that I had that was white had a Meranti body. Obviously it has a poplar top on this one though. And Meranti I thought was pretty good. It was a little tiny bit less, it carried less momentum when you're playing in terms of resonance than true mahogany would. I think they advertise it as like an alternative to mahogany, but to me it was almost like halfway in between mahogany and alder as far as it had a little bit of like sweetness, not as much inertia as resonance as if it was pure mahogany, not as much sweetness as if it was alder, but it had a little bit of gruffness like mahogany and then a little bit of sweetness, but not a whole lot of resonance compared to either one of those woods. But that's my opinion on Meranti. So this is going to be Jatoba. Yep. And so the Jatoba fretboard I like. However, when you see it in a photo, it does look cheap. It looks like there's not a whole lot going on. Like, even if that was a piece of furniture, you'd be like, couldn't they, paint over that or stain it to make it look better, but it's not. It's, rosewood would look a lot better than this. Jatoba just kind of looks very uniform, very like mid brown. It's not like ever dark brown or super light. I mean, it's identifiable and it's good. It feels good. It sounds good. It takes a little bit of oil, but it seems like it doesn't require a whole lot of maintenance compared to even rosewood. But it doesn't look that good. But it plays fine. It sounds good. Feels good. It kind of ruins the look, though. I feel like this color scheme, if this had a true dark rosewood even, would be much better looking. Because, you've got like the average pitch of rosewood would be like maybe somewhere in the midst of the edge of the burst, and then you got like the black trim, the black pickups, the black hardware, and then you've got a maple neck, which is fine. You don't really see the neck from the front, but then you've got like this very mid tone it's not super bright, it's not super dark. If it was darker, it would match the whole color scheme. That's my only complaint with that. And it has a Floyd, so if that guitar was hardtailed, I would probably be more likely to consider it, but I'm going to take it out of the running. There's the EC. I wonder, does this one have a maple neck or is it a mahogany neck? Mahogany neck and body. Okay, so yeah, this one is quite different from the other ones in that series, because it's actually a set neck. It's mahogany and it gives you some binding. So this is like value for money. Oh, that's an interesting finish on the pickup too. Value for money, this thing is better than the other ones, but that's like it's like a brushed finish, but it almost looks like it's just scuffed up. It's cool looking. I'll give him that. And what's the scale on this one? Is this like a Les Paul scale and the other ones are 25.5? 24.75, yeah. So this is definitely aimed at people that like a Les Paul in every way compared to the other ones in this series. This, I'm sure, is 25.5. I'm going to look this guy up still. I'm not going to consider this in the running. Oh, maybe that doesn't flop. Maybe it's just a burst. From this angle, it looked like the paint flopped a lot more. Maybe it does a little bit, but not as much as I thought. See, this is better. I think this works better with the fretboard wood and the color scheme of like the back of the body here. Like when you can see the side and the fretboard, that kind of works better together. It's not bad. That's cool. That's a hardtail. Very basic though. Ooh. Cerulean Blue Burst. Cerulean blue looks like purple to me. See, that's a flat top, whereas that's got a shape to it. You know, to me, as somebody who's kind of always played arch tops, my pick hits flat top guitars really badly. Maybe everyone's does, but to me it's noticeable. But that's kind of, I mean, it doesn't like prevent me from wanting them or playing them, but like if I was playing with no amp, you could literally hear my pick smacking the body in between the strings at times. And I'm not that heavy-handed with it. It's just kind of like, especially for a guitar where like this, where you'd have very low action on it, like you could shred this thing and just get real nice and low in between the pickups, and my pick would be hitting the body like crazy. I like this color though. I guess that's a contender. Gotta get rid of this thing. Not that one. Not that one. And not this one with the amazing neck, but the poplar body. So here's the contenders. I know I just closed this one out, but this one has better photos. That's a contender. I might like it more if that actually had an alder body, not mahogany, because it would be more stratty, like super stratty in a truer sense. Yeah, I can't really see that one with the bolt-on neck. It's kind of weird. Like, that neck doesn't look like I get along with it very well. With like the straight stratty neck angle with like the bolt-on, although it is maple, it's weird that it's a maple neck that's that color. I could see how somebody might like it. It looks like it's getting ready to storm here. So if I'm checking my phone, it's because we're kind of in tornado risk zone. So I need to be kind of weather aware as I'm doing this. I already practiced earlier knowing that this was going to happen. So there's that, there's this. That's, you know, that's nice. It's just a little too dull, in my opinion. And this is just a little too dull, in my opinion. Although the color is bright, the guitar itself is just kind of dull. It's not really doing anything for me. So between this one and this, what I would do, I mean, this guitar, in a practical sense, because where I'm coming from is I already have two Gibson Les Pauls, and I like them, and this guitar would not have any particular use for me. It would be kind of like, it could do things that my Les Pauls do, but worse. But if you only had $499 to spend on a brand new Les Paul inspired guitar, I could see buying this one, truth be told, but I wouldn't because I don't have a real good use case. This one, I would have a much better use case. I could use this thing in drop tunings more easily because it's got a longer scale length. It's more metal focused, so I could basically put it in like drop C or drop C sharp or even E flat, you know, just to be more comfortable with the longer scale length. But I think it's good looking. It would do what I would need it to do, despite the Goddess pickups. You know, that would just be kind of like a laugh about it. Yeah, this is what I would get. I would choose this open box, not used Schecter Omen Elite 6. That is what I would pick. I would play some metal on this thing, you know, and just kind of have a blast. It's currently now thundering. I've made my decision. I'm going to look up this guy, Kiko Loureiro, and this is what I'd pick. The Omen Elite 6 Blue Burst. As much as I hate poplar, it just has a poplar top, it has a mahogany back. I'd give this thing a shot. That's my answer. If you like this video, don't forget to share it and subscribe. Comment what you would have chosen. If there's a guitar that I looked at and then closed out, or if there's one that I completely passed over that you would have chosen, let me know what your thoughts and decisions would be in the comments. And yeah, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys next time.